Hello everybody and welcome back to some more NASCAR Heat 5 Custom Championship Series without the playoffs, where for the first time sort of in the entire season, and probably for the only time, honestly, we're kind of crossing paths with the regular season, like in the real world right now, because as of the time that I'm recording this video anyways, it is the day after they've actually run the Coke 0400 in the real world, so of course, you know, the end of the regular season. We don't have that. The end of the regular season for us is just the whole season. So I just kind of thought it'd be pretty cool. Maybe we'll find similar results. I kind of doubt it, but we will see. Before we get started, I have gone through and I have changed the difficulty back to 105 just because this is a restrictor plate track. And I feel like when you lower that on a restrictor plate track, it makes it way too easy to win. So we'll start messing with this again in the next race to try and, you know, balance it out a bit more. But because I've already almost won most of these races before, even on 105, I don't want to run this race any lower because I don't think it would be that entertaining. Of course, the downside to changing that difficulty back to 105 is that after qualifying, 38th. I was kind of hoping to be more in the midfield, but at least, you know, we're not dead last. So, okay, and on top of all that, somehow Kevin Harvick, dead last, on raw pace. Brad Keselowski's also down here. You know, qualifying in this game is kind of just a meme. But anyways, going to the top of the standings, we can see that Chase Elliott, hey, he got the pole. Michael McDowell, I mean, I think that's pretty ridiculous. But, you know, he has won 2 races so far this season in this plate. Oh my gosh, look at this top 10. Ross Chastain, Justin Haley, Corey LaJoie, Brendan Gaughan. What happened? I have no idea. Let's go ahead and just see what kind of chaos unfolds. All right, let's go green. And as long as we don't lose a draft, it really doesn't matter where you start, honestly, in these races. That being said, we have 23 laps of fuel in a 21-lap race. Okay, so we don't need to pit. At least we shouldn't, unless something, you know, weird happens. Maybe we spring a leak on our gas tank. Wouldn't surprise me considering whatever chaos seemed to have happened during qualifying to lead to this field existing. All right, we're, you know, suffering from the standard terrible start that takes place in restrictor plate tracks in this game. This is actually really bad. Everybody's just kind of flying away at us. All right, I think we should be just on the tail end of Christopher Bell's draft here. I would prefer not being on the outside line, but I'm not going to say no. Chad Fincham, Matt Kenseth also back here. Matt Kenseth must have had an illegal qualifying attempt. I really don't know what they do with qualifying in these games, but like, it's been that way for every NASCAR Heat game, at least in my memory, where unless you have a custom setup, even if you can absolutely destroy the AI in the race, like depending on the difficulty, the qualifying just doesn't make any sense. Like, they'll just beat you by several seconds, even if you're going to be the fastest person on the track afterwards, like on race pace. It doesn't really make any sense. I don't know exactly what causes that. If I could figure out a way to fix it, I would gladly appreciate it, but you know, I don't think across any of the NASCAR Heat games in like career mode, for example, I've ever gotten a pole outside of when I'm just messing around and I put it on like the lowest difficulty, which at that point, obviously, it's not very fun because they're going to be very slow, both in qualifying and in the race. I would prefer if they had a similar pace between the two, but hopefully that is something they can improve on as they, you know, sort of reboot the series next year. All right, we're going to leave our teammate kind of high and dry here. Okay, we're going to make a little bit of contact. It's okay. He's used to that after the actual race between, you know, Logano and Byron and all that chaos that kind of just happened. We're going to go ahead and push our best friend Brad here because, you know, that fits the storyline better for us. We're not exactly moving anywhere. Still a pretty decent length race, though. We should be fine as long as none of the front cars start to just tear away from everybody else. We're kind of in a sandwich here. All right, Daniel Suarez is going to keep pushing us. Brad didn't like that, so he's going to come down and decide to body check us, I guess. Inside of Jimmy Johnson, who unfortunately, as of this race in real life, will not be able to compete for his 8th championship. So I actually do have a series idea in mind for that, so stay tuned if you're prepared for that. Obviously, it's pretty okay. We are 4 wide here. I do not like what I've done. I made a terrible mistake, but we're going to try and survive. All right, now that I've somehow, you know, cheated death in some Final Destination-like act, yeah, I will be doing a series here in the near future, probably starting this week, actually, as of when this video goes live, where we're going to try and get Jimmy Johnson his 8th championship. kind of the exact opposite of what this series is, where this series, you know, there is no playoffs. The other series will just be the playoffs because, you know, that's a much more digestible like size for a series. Plus, it kind of just suits it better, considering, you know, what if Jimmy did make the playoffs this year? You know, even if you're like an underdog, the playoffs do still suit that like kind of storyline, where even if you're not doing the greatest throughout the season, you can still come back. I mean, after all, Ryan Newman almost won like the very first year they had that. But, you know, after they added like stage points and whatnot, it kind of makes that less likely to happen, but it's still possible, you know. I mean, all you have to do is win one race in each round, which, I mean, you know, it's like, hey, just win. Obviously, you know, that's the Galaxy brain strat. But, I mean, it is still theoretically possible, especially for someone like somebody like Kyle Busch, who hasn't won yet this season, of course, once again, as of the time that I'm recording this video. And, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if he just won one race in each of the rounds and made it to the Final Four, despite not having a good season at all, especially by his standards. So we'll see how that series unfolds, and make sure you're tuned for that. Okay, what just happened? I looked down for a second, and then I looked up, and the 38 car was flying through the air.
Yellow flag.
And there's a caution. Wow. He like blew a tire or something. Or some sniper shot it out of nowhere. He just hooked it. I have no idea what just happened, but that's a random caution. And that was pretty terrible. I hope he's okay. That was, I mean, he went pretty high in the air. We're definitely not going to pit. There's no reason to. You can go this whole race without pitting. So also just look at this top 5. The only reasonable person up there is Ryan Newman. Well, I guess also David Reagan. You know, he's done pretty well on restrictor plate tracks in the past. But we're not going to pit because we're already almost in the top 10. All right, we are going back green, restarting in 12th. Corey LaJoie has decided that he does not want to be in the high line, so I don't really have any draft immediately off the start here. I'm expecting us to fall back a little bit, just because for whatever reason we don't accelerate as quickly as the AI do, at least most of the time. It has to do with like between our 3rd and 4th gear. Our ratios just seem to be drastically off what they are for the AI, and I feel like that's a thing that's common throughout a lot of NASCAR games, where it just always happens. That being said, somebody up here in the front row is not moving. Tapping the wall is obviously not going to help us. Somebody just tapped on the brakes, so I'm going to have to let off the gas there. That's not exactly what you're looking to see. I feel like David Reagan's probably out of the race. You know, he's probably out of a lot of more things, you know, after he got some serious airtime back there. But that's one person down. We're being pushed by Kyle Busch. Of course, one of the two guys that we would want nowhere near us. We would prefer if, you know, maybe he was the one that took off to Mars instead of John Hunter Nemechek or whoever that was, because we would like to make up as many points as possible. And if we win and you're in like the top 5, we're not exactly gonna start making any leeway. Okay, well, my right front tire is now at 75%. I was actually checking to see if I had any damage, because for some reason Ryan Preece just kind of slammed on the brakes about half a lap ago on the middle of the straightaway. I mean, he didn't really seem to lose a whole lot of speed, but I was almost certain that he was about to poke a hole in my radiator. We're going to come down here. We're going to push Chase Elliott, as I just heard some serious contact going on back there. I'm hearing like gunshots going off in the background in the game. Obviously, if it was in real life, that'd be pretty concerning. There are some cars slowed down on like the backstretch and like a bit, you know, behind the pack. I don't know exactly what happened. I feel like that could just be the game saying, hey, you know what? Somebody else did a barrel roll. But that's not going to be a caution. We are kind of part of a sandwich right here. I'm pretty sure, yeah, we are nose to tail between myself, David Reagan, and Chase Elliott. For a second, or a couple seconds there, actually, there was like no space between either of us, so I really couldn't move without probably disrupting that whole like sort of caterpillar, I guess you would call it. I don't know. There's a bunch of like cars nose to tail. Can't do a whole lot. I'm trying to not wreck Chase here, but I can't exactly go to his inside because he's kind of dragging his brake a little bit, which seems reasonable. I mean, that is something you'd probably do in real life, obviously. You don't want to get off the nose of the person behind you if you're trying to get the best run. But in this case, you know, I would prefer if we were able to, you know, get a move on. We've kind of been stuck in the same position for the last 5 or so laps. I keep peeking to the inside. I'm hoping he would follow us. I think he might. All right, so we have managed to drag him down here, but I'm not sure if we're going to have enough of a run. I feel like I would. I mean, we're going 205. We are going pretty quick right now. But for some reason, we just couldn't get a run on the 47 and the 3. That's not great. Also, I'm pretty sure Bobby Carter is running up there in the top 5, along with Quinn Houff. This race, I'm at this point, either somebody predictable is going to win, or it's going to be somebody that has no right winning, or it could just be Bobby Carter, you know, somebody that physically can't win because he doesn't exist. Well, it's been a few laps since then, and we're still just trying to push Chase to the front. You know what, we're just going to abandon him. I'm going to try and cut down across Christopher Bell. Fortunately, that didn't cause a wreck or anything, because we need to get a move on. And the 9, for some reason, does not seem to want to do that. So we're going to try and get any run we can. Maybe pull up here, try to get a run off of Stenhouse, because there's only 5 laps left. We do need to get towards the front, because if we don't have anybody to work with once we get up there, we can't exactly make a pass for the lead. Right, we're not in a great spot here. There's no one to really get a draft off of, unless I try to steal it off of Dylan there. I think we got a little bit of a whiff of a draft off the back of Almirola. Let's see if that's enough to actually get us up there. Otherwise, these the top 9 cars will just kind of run away. Michael McDowell, once again, back to the lead. I'm not going to be surprised if he wins, honestly. The game seems to have given him far too high of a rating on restrictor plate tracks. I don't know if that's actually a thing that they've done, or if it's just, you know, coincidence at this point that in my series specifically, he's constantly winning these races. Or if they actually have. I haven't actually checked the rankings, because I know you can check the rankings of where they put each of the drivers on each track. Maybe for the restrictor plate tracks, they just gave him an absurdly high rating for some reason. I don't know why. I don't think Michael McDowell's even won a race. I mean, if it was somebody like, you know, David Reagan. David Reagan's like, he's won restrictor plate tracks, races and stuff in the past. So I could see, you know, giving a pretty big boost on these types of tracks. And even somebody like Brendan Gaughan, just because he typically performs pretty well here. But when it comes to somebody like Michael McDowell, you know, I would expect him to do pretty well on like a restrictor, or not a restrictor plate, a road course race. But when it comes to this, I don't know. It's not to say that he performs poorly. It's just I don't think he should obviously, you know, be winning every single race that we come to that's a restrictor plate track. If this was a playoff format, he'd probably be looking at having like 15 playoff points, maybe even more, by the time we actually got there, because he would just win all these as if he was, you know, an Earnhardt or something. Okay, we are now on the final 2 laps. I got a bit of a run there, but unfortunately I can't really go anywhere. We have Quinn Houff up here, Clinton Boyer, couple cars. I don't think we're going to get to the lead, honestly. Unless they slow down, or if I can somehow get a run around these guys. It's not looking like we're going to get another victory. Okay, I'm going to cut to the inside of Almirola, but unfortunately I'm not sure we're going to get a draft off of Ryan Newman up there. Yeah, we're just going to end up falling back. Michael McDowell has been pushed out of the lead. Bobby Carter is in the lead. There's a slow car. I think that's Ryan Blaney or Matt Benedetto. That's probably going to hold up the field. This is going to be chaos. Something stupid's about to happen. Please, Kevin LePage the field. If only to like provide entertainment value to something that could be crazy. We could actually win this race. Because the AR are going to be held up by, I think this, I don't know who that is. I can never tell who it is because the Menards paint schemes always look very similar. Bobby Carter is not being held up. He's going to throw away a win. Yep. And I entirely blame whoever that is. We're about to find out. But we might have a chance at the win here. Okay, so that is Ryan Blaney. Actually, is Bobby Carter going to somehow push himself to a win by basically pushing Ryan Blaney back to the lead lap? This makes no sense. We're not going to win the race. And I'm pretty sure... Oh, it's going to be a drag race to the line here. Who wins? I think Bobby Carter just won. I think Michael McDowell was a couple inches away from having swept all 3 of the restrictor plate races so far. We get 6th place. Not bad. 105 speed rating. That's amazing. But moving on to the final race results, we can see that Bobby Carter does win the race by 14 one-thousandths ahead of Michael McDowell. I don't know what would have been the better meme, Michael McDowell basically sweeping all of the restrictor plate races this season, or Bobby Carter, who doesn't even exist, winning a race. In the first race I've done since the patch, which technically makes it where he doesn't have to be in all the races, because he can be replaced by, I think, like Josh Bilicki and a few other drivers. But because we've already started this season, he's going to be with us throughout the end. Which, I mean, I guess kind of makes sense now, considering he has won a race. And then Ryan Newman, 3rd place. Great to see after, you know, all the stuff he's been through at this track. Corey LaJoie in 4th, you know, makes just about as much sense as the rest of the top 5. And we are going to actually pick up some decent points on Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, because I finished in 6th. Hamlin's in 11th, so maybe I spoke a bit too soon. And Kyle Busch is down in 18th. So we made up some points, could have been better. I mean, this race made absolutely 0 sense. So maybe the next one will be a bit more, you know, sensible. And then taking a look at the points after this race, just to, you know, reiterate what we just went over, I have moved up into 5th in points. So, you know, I moved up 2 spots. Ryan Blaney, who almost cost Bobby Carter his win, falls back down to 7th. Denny Hamlin pulling out to a bigger lead ahead of Kyle Busch. I'm only 12 points now, back from Ryan Newman, who again has had a great race, as we see the airborne wreck behind us once again. What a catastrophic wreck that would have been in real life. But yeah, we're back to the top 5 in points. Hopefully we can keep moving forward, but I still feel like the top 2 are basically in a league of their own. So at this point, we're really just kind of competing with Ryan Newman and Truex, trying to get to the top 3. But anyways, guys, that does wrap it up for this one. If you did enjoy the video and you have made it this far, please consider leaving a like. I know that we have made it, this far throughout the season, so some people kind of lose interest. So if you're still here, please consider leaving a like. It does help me out a lot, and it means a lot more than you actually know. And yeah, in the next race, we head over to Kentucky, which is not a race that I'm particularly fond of in the real world. Hopefully it works well for us. Here, we will be changing the settings to, reiterate what we had talked about in the episode before this one. But yeah, feel free to tune into that. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one.